Hello and welcome or welcome back to Compel to Impact. I'm Gina T, here to verbally meander through, hopefully sticking to one specific topic to provide insight that will ignite your soul. Today is Valentine's Day, which is often misunderstood or handled as incorrectly as love itself. To begin, this is a quote from Logan Barone, a contemporary in the YouTube universe. Hang on. We think we love people for their beauty, their kindness, their soul. But the truth is, we love them for what they awaken in us. The right person will remind you of your own depth, your own fire, your own capacity to feel, to open, to dissolve. The deepest love is not found in the meeting of two bodies, but in the way two souls recognize each other and say, I remember you. And suddenly, the love you thought was coming from them was never about them at all. It was your own essence being reflected back to you. Okay, so back to my progress. Not yesterday, the last video, episode 112, is asking the question, what is love anyway? So if you've seen that, then there's a little bit of a foundation to go from. The first week of February, I immersed myself into a stay-at-home retreat with a goal to go deeper into my heart and mind and build a stronger foundation in every area of my life. Of course, that's only the beginning. Now the real work begins. The first day of the immersion was a little rocky since I needed to focus on what I had been doing in health, wealth, and relationships, respectively, on what hasn't been working anymore, and hopefully find something that will work better to get me through this era. From there, I did some research for health and wealth solutions. The relationship component is more complicated and intricately accompanies the other two. It includes relationships within soul and spirit alignment, higher power source, or what is being called higher self, God, offspring, friends, and whom I love on different levels, and my personal life in relation to my divine purpose. You can do this too. These are a lot of good places to get started on a stay-at-home retreat. I don't take any of this lightly, since each of us is here at this time for a precise reason to play a part in lifting ourselves and each other up from the phase of life that one is in during the time of inevitable change. Leading is all part of this, since no matter who you are and what you do, there's someone watching and listening. Whether you go about your life quietly or you are an intentional leader, whether a parent, partner, or CEO, leading must come from a built-in love to serve and elevate others. If it comes from anything else, there will always be a disconnect and, unfortunately, a certain level of failure and frustration. As I mentioned in the last video, the idea of entropy and change isn't new. However, if you don't make choices of how you want to participate in how you want your life to work during the time when elements are breaking down, you'll get what happens to you instead of for you. It's often said, sorry, it's like cleaning out a closet. I've often said it's like cleaning out a closet. You need to take everything out, spread it around, evaluate each item to decide what works and what no longer serves a purpose. Then decide what to do with it. That's why it's also a good time to physically clean out a few things while you're spiritually and emotionally decluttering. It's very freeing. It's such a great thing to do. I love doing it. Hence, during times of old systems in every element of our lives on this earth breaking down, they need to be reassessed, reimagined, and rebuilt on a more solid foundation. And actually, the more of us that do these kinds of things, the more we affect the world around us. But that's for another video. Everything breaks down after a while, which is why living on this earth in this human body and existence, there needs to be an intentionally ever changing and growing process. It doesn't need to happen all at once. However, you need to be willing to examine what's up and committed to this process, what you really want to see in your near or far future. Here's where examining your heart is critical, where you find your source of love, energy, and power. My faux pas for decades has had been living from a place of loss. And that's one of the things that I've known, but I also found some new places that I didn't know before. It came from a series of significant losses early in life, and then the silent agreement I complied with because I was a kid, basically, the whole time. I complied with that I wasn't worth more than that. Every minute, every minute detail of life followed the scenario of being set up for something good, then getting that rug pulled out from under me, usually in the 11th hour. Like I was pretty hyped up for the thing that was going on, and then it was ripped out of my life because I didn't deserve it. And a lot of the times, those words were actually spoken by people who I thought were there for me. Um, Anyway, I know that from looking at me, you might think I've had a cushy kind of life. You would not be right. I'll spare you the details. There was doom from the very beginning when my tiny body struggled to breathe in those first moments and somehow was supposedly a reason for my parents' marital detachment. Yikes, right? Painful knowledge to have at first, but in reality, they only knew what they knew. It continued to play out in different stories from there, and I needed to let it go, surrendering and making space for something better, which didn't happen for some decades after that. That's what you see. This, the result of getting back up several times and choosing to have faith and start over time after time. My parents are not really to blame. It was generations of patterns and experiences that caused them to be where they were at and then pass it on. The best I could give them some time ago was forgiveness, even if they're no longer here. You might have some physical, emotional issues you can't seem to resolve. I want you to know that since you are meant to be whole by design, with working harmony of life elements, it's all connected and can affect your capacity to love fully and in a healthy way. I know because I was in the flight or freeze space of coping for most of my time, most of my life. I would run away. I would end things before it could get more painful, or I would just freeze and not have any response. There were plenty of years that I couldn't cry. I was like a zombie doing what I needed to do with a big padlock on my soul that no one was going to break into ever again. The safe room I had built to protect myself became what kept love out. I could no longer effectively lead myself, my children, groups, or be any kind of leader because loving from loss is already a deficit. It was when I started life coaching about 15 years ago that I began questioning every piece of this giant pie. The most important work you can do on this earth is inside yourself. The questions begin with, what's your motivation? Not necessarily the immediate reason you do what you do or want what you want, but what's at the bottom of this? What's the agreement you made with yourself to stay safe and survive, usually without taking any elemental risks involved with true, pure love? So it's hard to know what that is. And that's why when people would say, you need to learn to love yourself, didn't have a clue what they were talking about, and nobody could guide me. Well, that was a long time ago as well. So these days it's a little bit different. You'll find more people who are able and willing to do this. Um, if you heard the story in the last episode about the Velveteen Rabbit becoming real, you know the risks involved in losing parts of yourself so that you gain the most profound essence of who you are. We usually do need to let something go to hold space for something better. If you want to be the most effective leader you're capable of being, it's important to lead from and with the purity of love. Once you uncover this alignment, every other element of your life will fall into place with abundance beyond your imagination. I will repeat this succinctly deep quote from YouTube contemporary Logan Barone. We think we love people for their beauty, their kindness, their soul. But the truth is, we love them for what they awaken in us. The right person will remind you of your own depth, your own fire, your own capacity to feel, to open, to dissolve. The deepest love is not found in the meeting of two bodies, but in the way two souls recognize each other and say, I remember you. And suddenly, the love you thought was coming from them was never about them at all. It was your own essence being reflected back to you. I do want to um, mention that these are people who come into our lives and somehow they're able to open us up in a very kind and caring way, where they're not waiting to open us up just so they can learn what can destroy us and then do that, because that does happen too. So you need to be discerning about the people you open up to. Not everyone can do that for each other, but these people are usually kind, beautiful souls that our soul recognizes. And sometimes they need to put up with things that come from us resisting that love and care. And sometimes they do. And with their love, care, and patience, as well as ours toward them, that's when our souls connect in such a way that that help us unfold into what is true and pure love. If this is what your significant other is, reciprocal and appreciated and appreciative as well, then you have reached a level of true love that is heaven on earth. So, since it's Valentine's Day, I'm going to say happy Valentine's Day. And I hope that that is something you're experiencing. And if you're not, then it's time to do some work, inner work, because it is all on the inside. If you have that, bravo. I applaud you, because that's not an easy thing, especially with all the chaotic energy in the world. So thank you for listening to my channel, Compelled to Impact. And thank you for subscribing and sharing with others who need to know how to navigate on Earth right now. Listen for more tips on living and leading from love. And if you want to go deeper, I offer one-to-one intuitive sessions on my website below, and will have more options in the near future. Check out the show notes for my books, Etsy shop, and ways to connect. I am grateful for you and love you all. Until next time, ciao.